You are not anxious because you are weak. You are anxious because nobody ever showed you what anxiety actually is and what actually feeds it. Most people treat anxiety as an emotional problem, something that is felt but not understood, something that appears without warning and disappears whenever it wants. And because they do not understand the mechanism, they keep trying to fight the symptoms, the racing breath, the looping thoughts, the feeling that something bad is about to happen, without ever touching the root. The Sensei has a different definition for anxiety. He does not call it weakness, he does not call it illness. He calls it attention without direction. And attention without direction, he teaches, has a solution that is not medication, not guided meditation, not counted breathing. It is something simpler and older than any modern technique. And in the next few minutes, you will understand exactly what it is and why it works when everything else has failed. What anxiety actually is. There is a common belief about anxiety that keeps most people trapped in it for years. The belief is this: anxiety comes from the future. You think about something that might go wrong, imagine the worst scenario, and anxiety appears as a response to that projection. The Sensei disagrees, and the data from neuroscience agrees with him. Anxiety does not come from the future, it comes from the absence of the present. When the mind does not have a clear and immediate object of attention, when there is nothing specific and real happening right now that demands complete presence, it automatically fills that vacuum with projections, scenarios, negative possibilities. Not because it is pessimistic, because it was evolutionarily built to anticipate threats when no concrete threat is being processed in the moment. In other words, the anxious mind is not a mind with too many problems. It is a mind with too little presence. And a mind with too little presence can be trained back into the present, not with force, not with suppression, with direction. What feeds anxiety without you realizing it? Before talking about the ritual, the Sensei insists on naming what is making anxiety worse, because most people are doing these things every day without knowing that each one directly feeds the problem. The first is checking the phone in the first minutes of the morning. Before the mind has had time to establish itself in the present of the day, it is immediately flooded with information from the external world, news, messages, demands. The mind wakes up and immediately launches into the future before having had a single moment in the present. This does not cause anxiety directly, but it establishes the anxious pattern for the entire day that follows. The second is never ending the day with clarity. When you go to sleep without having closed the open loops of the day, without having put on paper what was left pending, without having declared the day finished, the mind does not rest during the night. It keeps running in the background, trying not to forget what was unresolved, generating the low chronic anxiety that many people confuse with their personality. The third is filling every silence with stimulation. Podcast while walking, video while eating, music while working. Every time a moment of silence is immediately filled, the mind loses an opportunity to process itself, to digest what it has accumulated, to connect what was left disconnected, to simply be present without demand. And a mind that never processes itself accumulates, and what accumulates without an exit becomes anxiety. The 10-minute ritual. What the Sensei calls the ritual is not a breathing technique. It is not a sequence of positive affirmations. It is not a meditation app. It is 10 minutes of deliberate presence every day at the same time, with one single rule. Nothing that comes from outside can enter during those 10 minutes. No phone, no music, no podcast, no conversation, no screen of any kind. Just you, the immediate environment around you, and the attention you are going to train to direct to what is real and present right now. The Sensei begins the ritual by sitting, not in a specific posture, not with the back straight out of obligation, simply sitting, on the floor, in a chair, wherever, with hands open on the knees. The first 2 minutes are the most difficult. The mind will immediately go to the future. It will remember what needs to be done. It will generate worries that seemed forgotten. It will insist that 10 minutes sitting still is a waste. This is expected. It is the anxious pattern recognizing that it is about to be interrupted. What you do in those 2 minutes is not try to stop the thoughts. It is simply notice that they came, and then return the attention to something real and immediate: the weight of the body in the chair, the temperature of the air on the skin, the closest sound you can identify, the rhythm of your own breath without trying to control it. Not to empty the mind, to give the mind a real and present object to occupy itself with, instead of the imagined future it creates when it has nothing concrete to process. From minutes 3 to 6, something begins to shift. The frequency of anxious thoughts decreases, not because they were suppressed, because the attention is occupied with something real, and the projection mechanism has less space to operate. From minutes 6 to 10, most people report the same thing: a quality of silence different from empty silence, a silence that feels inhabited, not by the absence of thought, but by the presence of something calmer than the anxious thought that was there before. 10 minutes, every day. What changes after 30 days? The Sensei does not promise that 10 minutes a day will eliminate anxiety completely. He promises something more precise. After 30 days of practicing this ritual with consistency, the mind begins to develop something it didn't have before: the ability to notice when it is leaving the present before it is already completely lost in the imagined future. That space between the anxious thought arising and you being completely taken by it starts small, almost imperceptible in the first days, but it grows with practice, the same way any muscle grows with consistent use. And when that space exists, anxiety stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you can observe and choose not to follow. It is not the absence of anxiety, it is sovereignty over it. And sovereignty, the Sensei has always taught, never comes from fighting the enemy. It comes from understanding so completely what it is that it loses the power to surprise. Anxiety does not disappear because you are strong enough to ignore it. It loses power because you finally stopped feeding it with absence and started replacing that absence with real, deliberate, consistent presence. 10 minutes, every day, starting tonight. And if you recognized something of yourself in this video, write in the comments which of the 3 habits that feed anxiety you identified in your own routine. The Sensei reads every response, and the next video goes one level deeper in the same direction.